too much of everything is bad and too less of everything is also bad, right? So I come from a scarcity driven atmosphere of 2000, early 2000s, I would say, right, where my only source of information was maybe a business world or maybe some magazines or some papers. So I think that is very, very important, very, very fundamental. But over a period of time, as you be in the system, you have to learn. There's no other option. And being the founder, you have to be twice or thrice more diligent and hardworking than others, because you are jumping into a pool. You have to learn. You have to swim,
True.
right? So once coming from a technical engineering background from an IIT, right? Yes, and there's always a notion that engineers may not be good businessmen, but once you start burning your hard-earned money, right, that teaches you a lot.
These are the two questions which everyone have in their mind if they want to start a business or if they're already in the business. How to start a business and how to grow a business. So in this podcast, we have Mr. Vinamra Pandiya, who is a serial entrepreneur, built and sold 3 startups and now in the process of venturing into 4th business. In this video, he has shared his journey and insights about startup ecosystem in India, and also he has given a clear-cut framework for budding entrepreneurs to start business and how to grow the business. In between, he has also shared what are the do's and don'ts for an entrepreneur to grow their business in India. He has also shared his viewpoints about the present startup ecosystems and also his view on who are the stakeholders that are affected by the present trend. So if you're a budding entrepreneur and if you are looking to gain some insights and the values from the learning point of view, this is the video for you. If you are an entrepreneur, please watch this video till end and also don't forget to share your feedback in the comment section. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel and also share this video in your network so that we can reach more people with your help. Thank you. Dear budding entrepreneurs, now let us watch this video and learn from his experience. Hello, Vinamra Pandiya. Thank you for accepting our request and joining for this podcast. So, can you tell us about your journey as an entrepreneur and also the your recent startup that is Let's Go Nut? What has happened with it in a brief so that our viewers come to know who is Vinamra Pandiya and what is his real background actually?
Yeah. So thanks, Nidish, for calling on your Startupmitra podcast, right? So I'll quickly talk about the word entrepreneurship and my thing, right? See, I started my journey way back in 2006 when the word entrepreneur was not known, and whatever ecosystem that we see thriving, and today there was not even much of an ecosystem. There were hardly maybe 4 or 5 VC funds, right? And from that era, I have come where I had kind of started to this time, right? Roughly did 4 startups. I call myself a startup person who has started, scaled, failed, exited. I've seen all cycles, right? So with respect to your question of the current startup, right? This as called as GoNuts, basically, right? So we started this just before COVID, and as the name GoNuts means, it's actually not a nut company, as many people will think. So go nuts means to go crazy. It's is the phrase, right? So with celebrities or people, famous people, when you get to interact with them, you go crazy, right? You go nuts. So that was the idea behind the name, and we kind of started this as a platform for fans and brands interacting with these celebrities. This is specifically when the era of social media, Instagram, and all of that started, right? And previously, if you look at, there were only top celebrities and top brands who were able to afford them, access them. for the rest of the janta and companies, they were not accessible, right? But social media, Instagram, YouTube, OTT platforms, right? They brought a new generation of celebrities, right? Which were more accessible, which were more desi, which were more real, right? And it created a huge middle of the pyramid and bottom of the pyramid layer, right? And they were very believable, right? As a person, you think that yes, this character is me. So these guys wanted to interact with their fans, and fans also felt more connected and to them, and brands also were okay to work with them because they were not astronomically priced, right? So we wanted to work on that layer, and that's how we started Gonuts. And currently, we were doing B2C and B2B both, but right now we focus completely on B2B, which is we work directly with brands and help them craft beautiful campaigns featuring famous faces.
That's it. But I have a question here. Recently, I read an article, not recently, I mean a couple of months back, I guess, that Let's Go Net is going to shut down, and some negative news about you being shutting down your operation. So, can you share that experience? Because I think you have pivoted from whatever the model you had, and now you have moved on to build something new. So, can you throw some light on that aspect as well?
So basically, as I said, we were doing B2C and B2B both. The only thing that we are not doing right now is B2C. This is just after COVID. See, as a businessman, and to your listeners, I always believe that business is done to make money and not to lose money.
Yes.
Right? And if you are able to understand that, okay, if you start, let's say two things, one is not working, you have to pull the plug down at the right time. Otherwise, you know what is happening in the current ecosystem, right? The people take so much money that they are not able to justify valuations, and they take so many people fire, and you have that cascading effect, right? So it was better that we were very upfront about it, that we will not focus on discounts to get customers, right? And post COVID, the scenario changed. So, but we got a lot of love from the brands. So we continued. We are continuing that thing, and the brand name is also same. So nothing has changed apart from the fact that we are not doing B2C. So fans cannot directly book, but yes, we are directly working with business because that's where the cash flow is. That's where the so-called dhanda mindset is, and that's where we'll all make money, right? So that is there.
Yeah.
We have a small team as well. We are working with them. So yeah, I mean, in media, there are certain things blown out of proportion, but and sometimes the headlines are pretty, I would say, clickbaity, right? So apart from the fact that we have shut the B2C vertical, nothing changes.
Okay, so still the Let's Go Net is live, and it is just moved. It just pivoted from B2C
Yes,
to
yes, we are
B2B.
coming up with a new version on the website, focusing completely
Okay.
on B2B. Yes.
Wow, that's great actually. Okay, when you were talking the initial stage, you said you had been a part of four startups where you built, scaled, and exited. So can you throw some light on that, like your experience of being a co-founder of four startups, and also before that, what made you to jump into this startup and entrepreneurship bandwagon actually?
So I had graduated from college from IIT BHU 2004, and after that I got a job at Infosys, and that time Mr. Murthy and Nandan and the entire team were there. So I happened to be at the Bangalore headquarters, and one of the sessions I heard Mr. Murthy talk about passionately about entrepreneurship. I think that was the first seed that came to my mind, that yes, I should also start something of my own, because with somebody like Mr. Murthy completely coming from a humble middle class, and what an inspirational story he has. So that I think that was there, and then I came to Pune, and being bachelors and not having good food, that was the another genesis of starting arguably is India's first food tech platform. We started called Mom's Kitchen, where we kind of created a meal service, professional meal service, ISO certified, doing everything in house, right? We opened two kitchens, and at peak we were doing 1,000 orders per day. And that was the riskiest thing that I did, because I left Infosys that time. It was considered to be very good. They were taking all from top colleges, right? So at the age of 25, at that time, to start was completely unheard of, right? So yeah, I mean, from there, I have seen the highs and lows of it, right? And I was the first to witness the 2008 crisis also, right? So my first
Okay.
business financially didn't work out, but I learned a lot of things in those 3 years. learned a lot about PR marketing, which has helped me in good stead in the later ventures.
So after that, you started, I think, two more, right? So can you
Yes.
share some
Yes.
insights on that actually?
So after the first stint, I realized a couple of things, and I've mentioned in my public discussions also, and forums and articles also, that managing your finances, making sure that uh, uh, company and you are different, all of small things of making sure that you're not too over ambitious at the same time with money. Cash is the only real currency that you have. So a lot of things I learned over a period of time after losing money at that time. So I joined the two founders at tastykhana.com, which was also one of the first, even I would say the first food tech platform who was also doing deliveries, right? So we scaled it up from 2009 to 2014 and made it to India's number one food tech platform. And we got funding from Delivery Hero, which today is the world's largest food tech platform listed in Frankfurt. So there, that was the first success, I would say, where we kind of started from Pune, from a small 1 BHK office to a sprawling proper corporate office and managing tens of thousands of delivery boys spread across hundreds of cities. Then got acquired by Food Panda in 2014, right? So yeah, that was the first success in terms of handling company at scale from every standpoint, right? From the processes to operations. So at Tasty Khana, we kind of created this food tech industry, which we today see, and it's part of our lives, right? We cannot live without that, right? So the building blocks, how the technical integration with restaurants will happen, how the delivery will be automated at scale, how will we make sure that our delivery boys are happy, the HR policies, the making sure how the customer complaints are addressed, all of that, right? Making sure the CRM is working at scale, handling millions of orders every month. So I think that is something which we learned with a very small team, I would say, right? Which is very important. One of the other lessons for your listeners is that you don't need to show huge headcount to show good growth, right? I think that is one of the biggest misconception when we got bought out and we were the largest, right? And but we had very small team, right? Both on the tech side, both on the sales side, because the whole idea was that we put processes and technology into problems and not people into problems, right? And that's been my kind of a mantra whenever I've started. I've made sure that we take the we take people who can own up the responsibility, right? Who can take up the overall project, right? And we are able to do extremely more with less number of people, right? So that is something which we did. And yeah, so after that, continued at Food Panda, leading the delivery operations for 6 months myself, setting up delivery operation in different metros and cities. And then after the founders moved out, and I came to Bangalore because all of that, my journey before this, the startup had been in Pune from 2006 to 2015. After that, came to Bangalore, met investors there, and started a sustainable commerce company called QTrove, which is Q stands for curated, Trove is a treasure trove, right? So the whole idea was to aggregate small and medium brands, sustainable brands who are making some really good products, right? This is before the D2C word became common, right? So we are the first platform at scale to bring them all together on one platform and make them heard, make sure that the story is given out. Unlike the bigger platforms which were there, like Flipkart, Big Basket, and all, right, where they were getting lost between the bigger brands, right? So that's how the story of us began, where we raised money based on the idea, and then we scaled up, right? We got 50 million from Times as well, right? And at scale, we were at 2,000 such individual entrepreneurs who were selling products on our website, and some 38,000 odd SKUs, right? So this is something, again, a new idea which came up, and a lot of D2C brands that you know today grew with us, and our approach, which was completely anti-e-commerce. Here also leveraged a lot of PR, where a lot of media covered us being the so-called anti-e-commerce kind of plank, where we said that we are focusing on the well-being of small and medium sellers, and not on the greed of the bigger e-commerce players. Yeah, so that's how we kind of work there in Bangalore.
Okay. So how did you identify the gap in the present startup where you're working, where roping in or you are building a bridge between the celebrity and the fans and the brand? How did you arrive at the problem statement?
So just before COVID, I had come back to Pune, and the whole see, India is a celebrity craze country, right? I mean, that is a
Yes, yes.
no-brainer, right? And every state had its own so-called wood, right? And people are crazy. I mean, down south, you already know. I don't need to tell you. Even in the northern part of the this thing, whenever a celebrity, even a small celebrity comes, there's a huge rush, especially in the smaller towns, right? So that was all there, and the aspiration and inspiration was always there, that they always wanted to meet somebody that they have looked up to, or they have seen the famous characters. It may not be the Shah Rukh Khans of the world, right? But it was always those small characters, right, which they identified in a TV serial or a movie or a OTT, and when they saw some with them, and if they're able to have a personalized interaction, right, that was very important, right? And for kids it was cartoon characters, so be it let's say Mickey Mouse or Chota Bheem, or multiple such characters. So I think that fascination we always was there. COVID gave us the opportunity. I mean, the ideas germinated before COVID, but COVID gave us that impetus because everybody was sitting back, right? I mean, the entire shooting, entire industry, everything came to a standstill, as we all know. The world came to a standstill, and so that gave us the opportunity for celebrities to reach out digitally to fans and brands, and therefore newer business models emerged, and we were one of the earliest to start with in this space. And then, of course, just like you see in many other industries, once a concept starts picking up, you see so many people coming in again and again and again, right?
Yeah.
So you saw a mushrooming of 25, 30 odd companies into this space. But one thing we realized, that it's an aspirational product. We will never sell this at a discount. So our celebrities, everything were exclusive to us. They were slightly premium, and the experience was wow. Then, of course, a lot of people copied our thing. That we were the first to make sure that a singer is also singing a song while delivering a personalized message to fans, right? But we always believed, unlike others who were selling products at this aspirational product at discount, we believe that if you do that, you're killing the entire charm of the product, because they are not like groceries, or they are not like mobile phones, right? That there's a human angle to it, right? So if you are gifting it to me and I am your good friend, right, you will make sure that yes, this is some value worth of it that I will say. If I know that you are taking it at some 300, 400 rupees, so the entire things come crashing down. So once people started taking it, a lot of these customers were founders and marketers from different companies. So they said, why don't you also do this for our companies, for their different campaigns? And during COVID, a lot of
Mm.
companies in the pharma space, health tech space, they wanted to reach out and do a lot of social campaigns and otherwise campaigns. So slowly everything started organically with people coming in and telling us, okay, aap ye kar do, aap ye kar do, and all of that, right? Opportunity started presenting itself, and our started good work, and brand also started resonating. More and more people from different industries started coming, and that there so till date we have worked with 350 plus brands, right from I would say a small retail shop to a unicorn, to traditional industries in mobile, automotive, pharma, right? We have worked on different use cases, right? Slowly and steadily, the whole idea is that we want to cater, as I said, we want to marry the bottom and middle of the layers to both on supply side and demand side. So from supply side, as I told you, right, this new breed of celebrities are mushrooming, right? Who are more connected to the roots. They are more connected to the audience. They are not super expensive. They are more open to experiments, right? So that layer I want to marry it with these small and medium businesses who don't have budgets in crores, but they are also looking for newer ways to kind of attract the user's attention, right? If you look at in the last 2 3 years, you will realize that celebrity endorsement by a lot of startups have increased so much, right? I mean, and the proof of the
Yeah.
pudding is, you look at IPL over the years. 5 10 years back, IPL, you will only see those brands, right? Traditional FMCG or
Yeah.
telecom, right? All of that. But today, if you look at from Dream 11 being the sponsor to Cred to an academy, all of these are startups, right? And all of them have used celebrities to take their audience to the next level, right? So that is where I think, as I said in the initial discussion, that Celebrity craze is always there. How do you marry it so that it becomes budget friendly, it becomes affordable, accessible, right? And you are able to remove that opaqueness which was there, right? And give it at a very transparent costing, transparent overall, right? Because otherwise, previously when we were thinking of starting on this thing, right, I was very skeptical because that's a very different industry. How many middlemen are there? What is the exact cost? Will they work on time? Will they have their own tantrums? All of that we all have seen, right? So there are a lot of problem statements, right? And thankfully, over a period of time, all of them have been kind of so-called sorted, where they also realize that when money is on the table, you need to be professional, and companies like us and others, right, have given them a alternate sales channel to make sure that they are able to maximize their earning potential in that so-called in today's world shortened period of their celebrity life cycle. If you look at 20 years back, or let's say 15 years back, or even more than that, yeah, the longevity of a celebrity was 20 years, 30 years, right? So in our era, when we were growing up, right, you had less number of singers, but they had long
Yeah.
gestation periods. But today, if you look at, the competition has increased, right? So today you have 50 singers coming in, right? So the gestation period or their longevity has reduced. So they are also very clear and professional that I have to earn maximum money within that short period. I will not get 10 years or 15 years, right? I'll maybe get 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, right? So a lot of these changes also have happened. And as I said, supply has increased because of OTT as well. So I think a lot of things, and this is an evergreen industry, right? I mean, people may reduce spending or increase spending based on the market conditions, but it won't happen that they will stop doing it because there's always a fascination between consumers and celebrities. It's been in the business for last 100 plus years, and it will continue as long as humanity is alive.
So just wanted to know who are those celebrities which readily accepted your offer, and who is that? Can you tell us? Like, can you give me the three top celebrities who are there in the platforms? Who are the first celebrities to sign, and who are the top celebrities who are part of your team now?
See, it is not about the, as I said, I mean, we are focusing a lot on the layer which is more acceptable, right? So we were the first to get a lot of top singers on our platform like Shan, Shankar Mahadevan, Hariharan, Kailash Kher, right? Talad Aziz, all of these from pop to Sufi to Ghazal to Bhajan, Anup Jalota ji, all of these guys who are legends in their own sense, right? But they like the approach and they like the new medium, and they gladly accepted. They were one of the first earliest people to sign up on our platform exclusively, and then we have worked a lot with them, gave a lot of business to them, right? So that is one this thing. And then of course a lot of people who got popular from various OTT channels, right? You could see Mirzapur series people or Sacred Games people and all of that such people, right? So
Okay.
then a lot of TV stars are there, right? Yesteryear stars are there who COVID gave a new lease of life to them, right? And they came back strongly based on the characters that they had seen. So, for example, a Mihir Virani from Kyuki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, which was a national rage 15 years back, right? So these people came back, and the audience enjoyed a lot. Not only audience, but the brands also. As I said, brands are looking for characters. So Kapil Sharma show characters are there, right? So
Oh,
so as I said, people identified with them, right? They are not super, super, super expensive. People love them for their characters, right? Like for example, the series of Inside Edge, the protagonist, right, was very popular. So we worked with him a lot. So for us, it is about understanding a brand's objective, understanding what they want, what is their target audience, and then marrying that with the correct set of celebrities. And then, of course, doing the end to end thing from production to post production, dissemination, and amplification. So yeah, that's there, right? We work with Bollywood celebrities as well. So from Jimmy Shergill, right, to Shakti Kapoor, to Shreya Talpade, and all of such set of people we have worked with. As I said, uh, uh, it all depends on the brand. It all depends on their objective. It all depends on their budget. It all depends on the timeline, and finally, it depends on the dates of the celebrities, right? With festive season coming in, hopefully, a lot of brands will open up their purse strings, which will be beneficial for everyone.
so that's really great to know. So let us talk about your business model, like a B2C business model and now the present B2B business model in terms of revenue. Like earlier, you were connecting brand and celebrity and the fans. So what was the revenue model at that time? And now, are you really working on a kind of agency model, or what exactly the model is like? How you're operating?
Model was always to make money, right? Whether it's from fans
Yes.
or brands. That is very clear, right? So if I'm taking 100 rupees, right, I will earn 20 to 30 rupees. So whether it's from fans, the ticket size will be lower. So there, my average ticket size was 5,000, 7,000 rupees, right? Now with the companies, the average ticket size has now moved up to, let's say, a lakh of rupees and more, right? So there also my percentage, we try to earn 15, 20, 25, 30, depending upon the client and depending upon the deliverables, right? So nothing has changed, right? Only thing is that, as I said, the B2C model where a fan like you and me can go directly and book the celebrity for their non-commercial needs, which is like a birthday wish and all that we have stopped, right? But the core model remains, as I said, the same. Before that also was to make money. Now is also to make money. Now just we are focusing on brands because the use case is very clear.
So therefore, I think for you, business means danda, make money.
Yeah, for
There is
everyone
nobody
it should
put.
be. See,
Yeah.
that's what it should be. I mean, we are all complicated because of so much startup jargon are all around. If you ask let's say a community of Marwadis or Jains or Agarwals, all of that, right? They will always say that business means, matlab, in Hindi, if you allow me to say that how much money goes into the galla and how much I can take out from that galla at the end of the day. If I'm not earning profit, you're not a good businessman, right? So that is has to be very, very clear. If all stakeholders in the ecosystem won't earn. If I don't earn, how will I pay my employees? Yes, I raise some venture capital, right? But now it is not, right? So at the end of the day, venture capital can only help you accelerate your growth. But if your fundamentals are wrong, if your unit economics are wrong, and you see so many articles today, right? But it should not, we should not wait for a downside to understand all of this, right? At all times, at all times, your fundamentals, unit economics, right, your gross margins, all of that should be very, very clear. Yes, you can spend a lot of money in marketing growth. You may temporarily be non-profitable. That is all fine. But the fundamental building block, right, which is very important, is that are you earning money on every order or not? If you're not, then that's a big problem.
Wow. I really like this concept actually because most of the business, especially in startup area where they lack the fundamentals actually, their fundamentals are not so strong, but they're able to raise a lot of money and all. So they're spending also, but the fundamental itself is weak. So how can they grow? So this is like, I really like the concept, what you explained. Okay, now, from where you learned about this business actually, because you're from a technical background. I think you studied in IIT Delhi, right? So you're from a technical background, from where you learned the business aspects.
So I think if you look at it, once you start jumping into a pool, you have to learn. You have
Yeah,
to swim,
true.
right? So once coming from a technical engineering background from an IIT, right? Yes, and there's always a notion that engineers may not be good businessmen, but once you start burning your hard-earned money, right, that teaches you a lot, right? At the end of the day, you have to be as a founder. If you're not able to pay your employees salaries, right, that becomes a big problem. So from that day onwards, right, when I realized that and I've been very fortunate over the last so many years, right, that employee salaries we haven't missed, right? We have made sure that we pay employees on time. We try to pay vendors on time, right? I think because everybody is dependent on us, so it's like an ecosystem. So you are a centerpiece, and you work with vendors. Vendors work with you, employees, investors, customers. If one chain gets broken, right, the ripple effect it has not only on that person but the family,
Yeah.
right? It is compounding, and you have to understand that an entrepreneur is ultimately a wealth, not only a wealth creator but employment creator. I think that is
Mm.
something which is very, very important to understand. And that's why if you look at from the government side also, a lot of people are talking about that, build companies. Why? Because they need a lot of employment generation. They need a lot of employment generation to ensure that the country as a whole progresses, right? So I think that is very, very important, very, very fundamental. But over a period of time, as you be in the system, you have to learn. There's no other option. And being the
Yeah.
founder, you have to be twice or thrice more diligent and hardworking than others, because you have to learn at triple the pace than the others. Otherwise, then only you will be able to come on top. Otherwise, it's pretty bad.
Wow. Okay, I think that's if somebody are looking to get kind of a mini course in management and starting a business, I think this is the best video I think they can look actually. Okay, now coming back to your journey. Uh, you might have seen like how the startup ecosystem is evolved over a period of time from the from 2006 till 2023. What are the changes you have seen, and what you really like and what you really don't like in the ecosystem now?
See, too much of everything is bad, and too less of everything is also bad, right? So I come from a scarcity-driven atmosphere of 2000, early 2000s, I would say, right, where my only source of information was maybe a business world or maybe some magazines or some papers, right, where the startup thing was very, very small, right? So from there to a system today which has glamorized and made this a fashion statement. Now, what is happening is that people are starting companies for very wrong reasons. That today what is hot today is fintech is hot. Okay, let's start something there. I don't know what. You're not passionate about it. You're not okay. Let me see. Okay, can I get a money in this 1 year? Okay, let me do this. Let me do. So this is basically gambling. You go to a casino. You take your cards. You make sure that the odds are in your favor. You take a deep breath and you put the punt. Right. This is what is happening in so many cases, and because of that, the graveyards are very bad today, because if you're not starting company at the right for the right reason, and you look at so many people, old people talking about it, from Sanjeev Bikhchandani, right, to all people who have started companies in early 2000 or maybe before that, right, that the fundamentals have to be very strong. If you're starting a company, right, you may exit and all are events. You don't start company based on an event, and if you're doing that, that's a sure shot recipe of disaster, right? Right? You may earn some money between and all, right? But you're not a true entrepreneur. You are just a deal manager who's looking out for something. On the other hand, on the investor side, also I would also lay some blame on them, because the entire glamour that has been put forward by the investors, the entire hype cycles that have been created, right? That has ensured that the corporate governance has been reduced to a bare minimum, right? So you see too many deals chasing too few companies, right? So when entrepreneurs feel that money is very cheap, right? So then your only idea is to grow. Now you are growing like a aimless animal, and you go here, there, helter skelter, and fundamentals are not strong. So when fundamentals are not strong, and when the money supply gets choked, right? Then what you witness is what you're witnessing today. That was the same hype cycle which was around 2014-15, if you remember, right? The same hype cycle, right?
Yeah.
Where everybody was funding ad tech, fintech, food tech. After I exit, everybody, so many people got their hands burnt. Today also, if you look at e-commerce, not today, in e-commerce, how many people are there? So it's important to understand the fundamental difference between the investor motivation to fund a company and a startup founders. See, for investor, you are one of a stock. He's like a stockbroker. He takes money from LPs, right? They promise that, okay, after 5, 7, 10, 12 years, I'll give you a return, which is slightly more than XYZ asset class, right? It's the asset class. Now, therefore, the investor is bound to make sure that their risk are hedged. So they choose X number of sectors, X number of companies, and they start punting. And if they see some growth pattern, right, they punt more, right? So for them, their returns to LPs makes the maximum thing. So for them, the most important thing is LPs, not you. So if you're not doing well, they'll throw you out. And they're not wrong with that, right? It is just that the expectation has to be very clear. For founder, that is the only company, right? You don't have 5 companies, right?
Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
only child. So you have to make sure that they outlive every investor out there, right? Because investor, as I said, it's like a stockbroker. So they will come when the valuations are low. They will sell you when the valuations are high. Who will remain
Yeah.
constant? The founding team, the management,
Perfect.
right? So I think that is something, when if both the founders and the investors are very clear on that, and I think all these hype cycles need to be tempered down a bit by media as well, right? When you hype a sector too much today, it's AI which is hyping up, right? You'll see so many dead companies after so long. I mean, in the next 3 to 5 years, it's important that investors are able to judge slightly more. With a slightly more, I would say, piercing eyes, and also tell the founders that what are the top things which are non-negotiable. Hopefully, after this era of where you are seeing a lot of corporate governance skeletons coming tumbling out from the closet, I think hopefully a sense will prevail. But yeah, from that era where you hardly had funds to now, you see things have changed a lot. But I think I would take a slightly bird's eye view and tell you that industries are created in these things, right? So if you look at the startup ecosystem of ours, right, the first major exit which came was Flipkart to Walmart, right? And recently you've seen
Yeah,
the
yeah.
markets get matured after that. If you look at US, it took so much time. If you look at China, China is 15 years ahead of us, right? So this was bound to happen. So whenever a sector gets created, there will always be cycles of hype. There'll be cycles of lows. There'll be a lot of bad players, bad apples, both from the investor side, both from the founder side. Everything will happen. But as a whole, are we marching forward? Is my global maxima is moving forward or not? That is very important. Are we learning from this thing or not? Are we becoming much better people than today? Right, that is important. If we are going in the right direction, it is going. I feel we are going in the right direction, but I think a lot of transparency and people need to be more upfront about what they talk. There's too much sugarcoatedness in the industry today.
Yeah, I think it's like both parties should learn actually, even the investors as well as the founding team or the entrepreneurs should like they should learn to be a transparent thing. More, they should be more of transparent rather than hiding information or anything because of the lack of corporate governance, right? Like we have seen recently, like 5 to 6 startups really shut down their operation. And whose
Yeah.
fault? Whether it is investors' greediness or founders' greediness, we really don't know. As a ecosystem, we are clueless, and somewhere we are misguided also because of some negative news. When we see some good news about some new trend is coming, like in AI, suddenly there is a shift of business from a traditional business to the new trending business. So this has to stop because for a business, sustainability is important. That's what I believe, and that is also I think most of the that's what business means actually. It should sustain and then grow. Okay, so now almost we are coming to an end of this session actually. What are the three, or yeah, let's take 5 learnings of you from your entrepreneurial journey? What are the 5 learnings you had actually?
I don't know if there may be five or four or six, but I'll try to kind of
Yeah,
summarize
yeah.
the key. As I said, number one, business means to make money, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't love, there's one word I say is that money is honey. So it is like your lover, right? It's like your darling. So money is that. So making sure that you are here to earn money, right, and not do some charity. And you're not. So don't pretend. You're starting a business. Number one. Number two is that reduce your ego to zero. Be extremely humble. And I've seen that across. It's a culture problem. When you are coming into business, right, you are the most vulnerable person as a founder, right? You have to make sure take care of your employees, you have to take care of your investors, you have to take care of your customers, you have to take care of your vendors and suppliers. And if you're not humble, believe me, right, the negative word goes pretty fast. And I give you one example of DMart. Why DMart is able to get the best rates out of the suppliers? Because they disrupted the entire supply chain by paying money upfront to every stockist, distributor, or the manufacturer of the brand. Now, the reason, because before that, the standard was 60 days, 90 days. So they said, how can I ensure that I always get the product much before than anybody else at the much better price than anybody else? And if tomorrow war happens, I also get the product. So just to give you an example, that is very important, that how you are able to make sure that you are able to take care of everyone, right? Number three, corporate governance is not an option, right? It is Bible. It is constitution from day one, and it starts with the founders, right? And I'll give you one small example. When our deal with Food Panda was going on, there one of their top lawyers had come from London, and they they were looking at our paperwork, and he, at that time 2014, his charge for one day was 1 lakh rupees. Okay, So he came and said, "How is it possible that your everything is in place? I have never seen any startup with their paperwork so good. So at least give me something so that I can justify my coming here and at least getting something out of it, right?" So that is something we've been very clear about, because if the foundation is not strong, right, everybody will do it. And whatever corporate governance issue you see, it starts from the top, either complicit or non-complicit. But if the corporate governance structure is not strong, and by strong I mean, this is to the government also, is that conviction in this is not there. So the ability or the probability of people making mistakes, not mistake committing such errors, is high, because they know that they'll not get caught. So if you know that you'll not get caught and maybe some fine here and there, right? So the greediness and the probability of doing that thing increases a lot. So it has to start from your own principle. It has to start from your own stuff. Make money, of course, but do it in the right manner, because someday or the other it will come to bite you, right? Reputations are destroyed overnight, right? It takes decades to make that. I think that is there. Second, I would say the next point would be is that make sure that, and I tell to a lot of founders is that when you put money to the company, you are also an employee. Do not consider yourself that whenever I want, I can take the money out from the company. There has to be a proper structure, accounting, books, everything from day one. A lot of people ask me, okay, when they are raising money, due diligence, they are very fearful of due diligence. I say, why there's to be fearful of, and why you need so much time for due diligence? I mean, your paperwork anyway should be there, whether you are raising money or not, right? Because every month you have to file TDS returns, every month quarter you have to file GST, and then of course the financial returns. So that should be a norm, not an exception, right? So telling all founders to make sure that all your books are right, right? All your books are right in the right manner, and you are that therefore you'll be able to get a very tight control over your finances. Is my finances good enough? That do I need money? Sometimes what happens that when the founders start seeing their books very thoroughly, a lot of revelation comes in. Previously they were thinking, there's no money, but when they realize so much account receivables are pending, so I'll be able to go through, right? So these things are important. And lastly, I would say is that your biggest assets are your people. Businesses are run by people in hard flesh and blood. Whatever AI you make, whatever business you run, whatever rockets you launch, at the end of the day, there are people behind it. And it is very important that you take care of them, right? And do not overhire ever, because it is good to show investors, today I've raised 10 million. Investors say, raise the growth, right? So you'll say, okay, the easiest way is to put people. Next time investor comes, they have 1,000 people. He say, oh wow, you're growing. That's a fallacy, right? Putting more people gives a false impression to everyone, but you know what is the reality, and therefore you are seeing every day some of the bigger unicorns are firing people because there was no need for them. So you created that entire bubble, and then now you are bubbling. The bubble is getting burst, right? So always make sure that you optimize your hiring. Make sure you hire the best people, right? Pay them on time, right? Make sure that you give them enough space, right? It's not that you're working, making them work all 7 days. Employees are employees and not founders. Let's be very clear. You can give all the motivational yarn to them. At the end of the day, they are here coming for a check. They will work diligently if you are giving them a safe and a productive and a conducive environment where they can grow. Yes, there will be some people who will be very, very good, and that's how you get the leaders, right? Not everybody can become a leader. So I think those are these practical things I've learned, which has helped me in good stead in the last 16 to 18 years, right? Which hopefully can help your listeners, right, and viewers who are about to start up or who have been into startups, right? It's very tough, guys. It's not a glamorous journey. It's very lonely. And please be very, very sure before you start up that next 5, 10 years, no magic will happen in the first couple of years. People say, are you an overnight success? People ask a lot of people, right? It's not overnight success, decades of hard work behind that overnight success. So I think those practical things, if people are able to understand and they start in the right spirit, then at least the basics are right. Then what happens with the startup and what's the probability and odds, right? But at least if we are able to control the controllables, right, which are in our hands, then at least there's some margin you have improved in the law of probability.
Wow. Okay. I think with that note, we have come to an end of this podcast. Thank you, Vinamra Pandiya, for sharing your entrepreneurial journey and the strong insight what you have, like in terms of the business and its fundamentals and the growth. That's wonderful. I think our viewers will get a lot of benefit after watching this video. Thank you again. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilesh, and thank you, Startupmitra. Pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you.
Hello friends, how was the podcast? I really enjoyed interacting with Mr. Vinamra Pandiya and I would like to know your experience. So please share your valuable feedback in the comment section and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.